Last video, we set up the superclass for our ItemInfoVC controller. In this video, we're going to set up our two subclasses that are unique, right? The follower VC and the GitHub information, like the repo, the gist, that VC. So we're going to set that up, and then we're finally going to get to see, build and run, and see all this in action. So let's do it. So here in our view controllers folder, and we're going to organize this here in a little bit, do Command N, just do Swift file, and hit next. And it's going to be the GF repo item VC. Again, we're getting specific with the naming here. So import UI kit is going to be a class. It's going to be the GF repo item VC. And it's going to be a subclass of, not a UI view controller, right? This is we're going to use the specific superclass that we just created. So this is a subclass of GF ItemInfoVC. So now we're inheriting all this logic, right, that we got in our GF ItemInfoVC. We're inheriting all this stuff. So this is the concept of inheritance, if you're not familiar with this, in object-oriented programming. So now that we're a subclass of that, we inherit all that stuff. So that's what we want. So when you're in the subclass, you can create new functions, new behaviors, new functionality, or you can overwrite the parent ones. So we want to overwrite view.didLoad. So view did load, and you're going to see it's going to automatically override it. But we definitely want to call the super.view.didLoad. And in this one, we're going to call our configure items. This is where we're going to do all the custom stuff, the stuff that's custom to repo item VC. So here, let's do private func configure items. And here, we're going to configure our ItemInfoVC, right? So if I go back to the ItemInfoVC, I'm sorry, right? We have a stack view, we have a ItemInfo view, we have this stuff. So in the repo, I want ItemInfoView1 to be very specific to repos. So watch, now all that ItemInfoView code we wrote a couple videos ago, this is where you're going to see it really shine. So here we can do ItemInfoView1.set. Remember, and then we pass in the item info type. We want this to be of type.repo. And with count, we want this to be the user's repo count here. Again, back to our model, we want to pass in user.public repos to get this int. So back to our GF repo item. We don't have access to a user. Let me call configure items here. I'll forget. We don't have access to a user right now, right? I can't just do user.public repo. Like I don't have a user. So something we forgot. Let me just hard code this in here for Xcode doesn't give me errors. Something we forgot to do, or I forgot to do. We didn't forget. I forgot. In the ItemInfoVC is to give us access to a user. So here we're going to do the same thing we did in our user info header. Remember how we created this public init? I'm not public init, I'm sorry, custom initializer to give us the user. So we're going to copy that and basically in our ItemInfoVC, paste that here as an initializer. So now our ItemInfoVCs get this custom initializer where we pass in the user, but we got to give ourselves a user here, var user of type user exclamation point. So now when we initialize any GF ItemInfoVC, we can use this custom initializer to give us a user. Again, we got to get the storyboard init, that good stuff here. So we forgot to do that to give us access to a user. So now back in our GF repo item VC, we're setting it of type repos with count. Now we can do user dot, let's get to it, public repos. So that's how we're going to do it. And if you remember back in our ItemInfoView.set, let's go to jump to definition. Remember, when we pass in repos, we're going to go into this case, and it's going to set the SF symbol accordingly, it's going to set the title accordingly, and it's going to set the count. So again, this code we wrote back here in our ItemInfoView is really shining here when we just write one line to set the information we want. So now we can do that again here with ItemInfoView2.set, and this one is of type gist, right? And then the count is user.public gist. So here we're setting up our UI very simply because we've done all the heavy lifting before. And now we need to customize our button, right? We want to give it that background color with the title. So if we go to our GF button here in the buttons in our custom views, remember we have an initializer where we can set the background color and the title, but we don't we've already initialized it here in the ItemInfoVC as just a generic GF button. Because remember, this is the generic superclass. We don't know what type we want it to be. So a way we can fix that is in GF button is to create a function that we can call on our GF buttons to actually set those. It's going to be very similar to our custom initializer here. So we're going to do a func set. It's not private because remember, we're actually going to use this out in the wild here in a second. So set, and you can do background color of UI color and title of type string. Background color equals background color. Well, let me do self dot, right? Because we got to let it know. Set self dot background color equal to the background color that we pass in. And then let's do set title. And the title is going to be the title that we pass in. And for control state is dot normal. So now we have this function on our GF buttons here that we can call set and pass in a background color and a title. And that's what we're going to use. And this gives us flexibility. Like, yes, we have this in our init method, but if we ever want to like change the background color and the title of our button on the fly, we can do that here with this function. So back to our repo ItemVC. Let's do action button dot set the new, we're not getting our autocomplete here, do a command B. Again, I always like to make sure we get autocomplete rather than typing in ourselves. So set, and there it is, background color of dot system purple. There it is, system purple, and the title is GitHub profile. So there we're setting the UI of our action button, do a command B. And for now, this is all the custom code in the GF repo ItemVC that's custom to that one. We have a little bit left to do with the button action, right? Because this button, when we tap it, is going to open up a Safari view controller to show the GitHub profile. We're handling that in a future video, so we're not quite done, but I want to get this UI displaying on screen so you can see, what we've been working on the past couple of videos. So that is our GF repo ItemVC. Again, it's just the individual custom stuff for that one. Again, because all the shared logic is in our superclass here that we have here. So you can see where this really comes into play when we create our subclasses. You just do the custom stuff. So on that note, let's create our create our GF follower ItemVC. Create. And it's basically the same as the GF repo one. So we're going to copy and paste this. Again, kind of the benefit of programmatic UI and programmatic code, all that stuff is a lot of copying and paste, but you got to be very, very careful when you do this because copy paste errors are a thing. So what I did was I changed the title to GF follower. Again, see, I just did follow. It's follower. Got to be very, very careful. Follower ItemVC. It's a subclass of our GF ItemInfoVC. Cool. We're overriding view did load. We have the item info, except now it's not .repos, it's .followers. And instead of user.public repos, user.followers. Again, it's no longer gist here, it's following, and user.following. So you can see how we're easily creating these view controllers. Once we have the infrastructure set up, we could create a number of these cards relatively quickly. We're not system purple for the color, we're system green, right? And it's not GitHub profile, it's get followers. So you can see just like that, yes, we did some copying and pasting, but like that view controller took like 10 seconds to create once we had all the infrastructure set up. So I want to organize this more. Let's go to our view controllers, do new group, and I do ItemInfoVCs. And we'll take the parent and the children, or superclasses and subclasses. I don't want to, the parent and child stuff, I don't want to get confused with the child view controller stuff we did before. So we'll call it superclass and subclasses, right? So we have our item info superclass here, and then our subclasses there in the folder, just again, some organization. So now let's go to our user info VC here. And here in our network call, remember we were adding the child VC once we got the user. Well, now we need to replace those two container views that we had. Like let's run this right now, just to show the before and after, to show you what we're going to do here. So SALLEN 0400, get followers, click on one. Cool, look, so remember we still have our pink and our blue child VCs. Now we're gonna populate what we just created in each one of these. So stop that, and let's actually get rid of these background colors here, this system pink, system blue. We're done with you, we got the real deal now. So up here is where we're adding these view controllers. Remember this add view controller here function that we created? So now we're just gonna call this, right? We've already set up the infrastructure. That's what we did a couple videos ago. And I did that in a separate video, so now we don't have to like set all that up. We can just do self.add, and we want to add the child VC. I'm not getting autocomplete. I don't like this. All right, I just had to restart Xcode because it wasn't giving me the autocomplete. Just to let you know, it does happen. Sometimes you just got to restart Xcode. So let's do self.add. There we go. Child VC. So the child view controller we're going to add to we're going to add it to item view 1, which is the top card, is the GF. Whoops, I'm in the wrong spot. Down here is the GF repo item VC. Now remember, we can initialize these with the user, right? We created that custom initializer on the superclass, and the user we want to pass in is our user here that we got locally in our result type. Now the view is self.itemView1. So we're creating our repo item VC with the user. It's doing all that custom code, and we're putting it into the item view 1. So same thing, we can do self.add GF follower item VC. Whoops, and we want to initialize that with a user, and we're going to put that in self.item, self.item view 2. So you can see we're just kind of plugging in these view controllers in the container views. So now when I run it, fingers crossed, we've done 3 videos worth of code without really seeing this. Hopefully everything looks okay. First take. Let's see what we got here. I'm a little nervous. All right, click on a follower. Hey, there we go. It all worked out. I mean, of course, I've built this before, but sometimes you never know. So you can see we've just injected the view controller into those container views, and everything worked nicely. And the beautiful thing about like creating these like components like that, like we just did, is like, what if your designer comes to you and says, oh, you know what, let's put followers at the top. Well, here in our code here, that's super simple. We just changed item view 1 to item view 2, and then item view 2 to item view 1. You just kind of flip whichever one you're injecting it with. And now our followers VC is going to be on top of our GitHub kind of VC. And it took 2 seconds to change that. So see, now the followers are up top. You know, the repo stuff is on the bottom. Well, let's change that back. But you can see when you build these components like this, super easy to like move big things around on your screen. Let's run this again just to make sure we're back to normal. Say len 0400, get followers, pick one. There we go. Okay, we're back. Wow, 2,000 followers. So there you go. We have our child VCs working. The thing that we don't have quite set up here is we're missing our date label. On the design, we have like GitHub since 2014 or whatever. And then also our buttons don't do anything yet. So we need to we need to show a Safari view controller to go to the GitHub profile, and then get followers. We're going to like dismiss this VC and then reload our collection view with the new username. So that's going to use some delegates and protocols. So that's a little preview of the upcoming videos. First, we're going to tackle that date label. Let's do it.